Welcome back to IELTS 9. What you're about to watch is a recording of a recent lesson that I had with one of my favorite students. He's preparing for TOEFL, and he had already done 2 TOEFL reading passages with a few mistakes. And together we were going over them, and I was trying to break down the sentences and the concepts in the passage, and to help him understand why the answers that he had got were wrong and why the correct answers were correct. I recommend doing the quizzes and the passages on your own before you watch the video. So then you can just come back and watch this as a way to troubleshoot and to make things make sense for yourself. Now, the links are, as always, in the descriptions down below. If you have any questions, you can leave a comment. And with that said, let's begin. Very good.
It's true. Okay, and the 7.
Let's see. Which of the following can be inferred from paragraph 4 about the Gothic typeface used in Germany? So it's about typing and fonts and I don't know, magazines and books, I assume.
I didn't know what was the typeface, so that was the worst in this. I didn't know this word.
The passage generally should give you an idea of what it is. But let's see if we can actually answer without knowing what the typeface means. Although there was no competition between the technologies, there was rivalry between nations. Okay, so I can assume they were using similar technology, and there was no problem with that. But they were trying to be the best at using that technology, whatever it was. I haven't read this passage before. The Italians made an energetic and successful efforts to catch up with Germany, of course. Their most successful scriptorium quickly imported 2 leading German printers to set up presses in their book-producing shop. German printers had the disadvantage of working with the complex typeface that the Italians sneeringly referred to as Gothic, and that later became known as black letter. Okay, let's say I don't know anything about printers or printing or the press and the fonts. It's just Germans were using a specific type of a group of letters, and Italians had a different type or a different group of letters, and these two didn't match. And for the Italians, when they were using the German printers, this was a disadvantage because the German machine, I assume, didn't really have exactly what the Italians needed. So that's why it was a disadvantage. Outside Germany, readers found this typeface disagreeable. They didn't like it. So it was something that Germans liked, the others didn't. The Italians, on the other hand, had a clear typeface known as Roman that became the type of the future. This is Times New Roman. Do you know the font that I think even this one is Times New Roman? Or it may not be. But it's like the most commonly used font on the internet and in books and so on. One of them, at least. That was Angel shaking her head. So, okay, so we can summarize it as Italians had a specific way of writing that was not appealing to a lot of people. But Germans had this more, or vice versa. Germans had this like fancy type of writing that Italians didn't like. Italians had a clearer form of writing. Now I don't think that will even be an issue for this one. What can be inferred about the Gothic typeface used in Germany? Many people didn't like it. That's what we can infer about it. So let's see, let's go one by one.
It was adopted by the Italians when they hired 2 leading German printers. It was nothing about... No,
they didn't like it. They actually wanted to avoid it. They called it a disadvantage. So they definitely didn't want to adopt that.
Okay, it was more difficult to read than a Roman typeface.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That was maybe.
No, not a maybe. We said German.
Me, and yes, at the time when I was making this passage was maybe.
But now, does it make sense why that would be a very good option?
Now I know that it's a good option.
So outside Germany, people didn't like it because Italians had a clear typeface. But obviously Germans liked it. They were using it all the time. So it says it was more difficult to read than the Roman typeface. So the Italian type was easier to read. The German one was more difficult to read. It's a very good option, and it should be the answer. What about C?
It was easier to print than other styles of typeface. Nothing about it?
We didn't say which one was easier or difficult to use or to just for the machines. We just said for the reader, it was easier or more difficult. What about D?
It was widely popular with international readers. I made this one.
Not made.
I thought that is a good, but it's not.
And is it a false or is it a not given? So we know it's not true, but is it false or is it not given?
It was not given.
It is given. It is false.
Where?
But how do I know? It says the Gothic style was widely popular with international readers. Let's say international means outside Germany.
Yes.
Or everywhere except Germany. Well, we clearly said explicitly, outside Germany, readers found this typeface disagreeable. Now, disagreeable, usually we use it for people, and we know what that means. But if you find something, in this case, a way of writing disagreeable, it means you don't like it. It's not appealing to you. It's not something you would prefer. So then when we say it became widely popular, that's the exact opposite of saying people didn't like it. So this means everyone liked it. But we said most people didn't like it. So, okay, so that makes sense. It should be B, obviously. And so we had the vocabulary one, we had this, and we should have one more. Is it question 10?
I got this one, 8 one was my mistake.
Oh, so then for 10, you got all 3 of them?
Yes.
Very nice. 8. According to paragraph 4 and 5, how did German and Italian contributions to the printing industry differ? Okay, it's a factual question, so this time it's not inference. Let's see. Now, we know as a matter of fact, the Italian and the German way was different. Or not the way that they did it, but they added different things to the industry. They developed different things. They contributed in different ways. Yep. So now what we need to find is, okay, what did Germans contribute to the industry? And what was it French or Italians?
Italians.
Of course, French don't contribute to anything. What did French contribute? So, the French and the Germans. Okay. We have 2 paragraphs this time. So I assume this one is about Germany and this one is about Italy, obviously. So let's see. Although
there was no competition between the technologies, there was rivalry between nations.
Also, sorry to interrupt. We have already read this one. So we can say Germany had good machines and they had the tech, basically. Good machines. Bad style, let's say.
Style, yep.
So the bad style, we cannot consider a contribution because people didn't want to use it. But the machines, everyone was trying to use them, or at least Italians wanted to use them. So that's a contribution to the whole industry. Okay. So that's one side of it. Now, what about the French?
All the Germans made use.
Italians, go on.
Although the Germans made use of the paper revolution and introduced movable type, the Italians went far to regain the initiative by the artistry.
Okay, so we can already see that the part where was the thing that was not good about the Germans, Italians were good at. Now we need more information about how their artistry, which again means how they wrote or the type of font that they used. We just need a little more info about this.
Okay, by 1500, there were printing firms in 60 German cities, but there were 150 presses in Venice alone. However, since let's
wait for a second. Should I say, for example, they had more presses?
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a contribution to the whole thing, but we can say they made it. I mean, we can summarize it this way. Let's say they made it more accessible, let's say, or more common, which that can actually be a contribution. They actually help people become familiar with books and magazines and newspapers. Okay, let's continue.
However, since many nations and governments wanted their own presses, the trade quickly became international. The cumulative impact of this industrial spread
added impact. So the total, the collective or the total impact.
Yep, was spectacular. Before printing, only the very largest libraries, of which there were a dozen in Europe, has as many as 600 books. The total number of books on the entire continent was well under 100,000, but by 1500, after only 45 years of the printed book, there were 9 millions in circulation.
So actually, our summary was correct. That's exactly what the writer is. Now we are getting the numbers for how it happened. So it went from hundreds to millions in a short time. Okay, now we have it. So the Germans gave the machines, but they didn't have a good style. And then Italians had the good style, and also they made it much more accessible. So there were more books being printed all the time. Okay, now we just need an option that matches those two things. Let's see. One by one.
German printers originated and applied a technique that Italian printers adopted more artistically.
What do you think about this one?
I don't remember what I choose, but it's...
Let's do it now. Don't worry about your previous answers.
Maybe, but I don't think so.
I mean, it kind of matches what we have. It's not really a difference, though. It just says what each of them did. So it says the Germans basically created the whole thing, the technique that was used. And the technique originated in Germany. And then Italian printers. Also, I just realized that we are talking about printers, not the people. So the Italian printers use the same style, the same technology, but made it look better, which is okay. I mean, I guess it's not a bad option. B, German printers mass-produced books. Not true.
Not true. While
because the Italian ones actually made it cheaper and easier.
Produced fewer books of better quality. No. Definitely not.
For the quality versus quantity thing, we said that Italians... I mean, we never even said that the Italian ones were cheap or low quality. We actually said they just created or printed many, many more books, which would be closer to the mass production of books. So that is the Italians. This one is actually changing, reversing the positions. What about C?
German printers use only black typeface, while Italian printers used a variety of typeface colors and styles. There was nothing about colors and styles.
We didn't mention color and style, and even if we did, I mean, maybe they are referring to artistry. That wasn't really the whole point. That wasn't the main contribution that they had. They just used different styles and colors. That doesn't sound like a contribution, but creating a technique for printing and then making it more popular, those are actually contributions to the industry. What about D?
German printers had greater technological skills, while Italian printers were more commercially successful.
Commercially, that's the part I don't like about this, but it sounds like a good option as well. Because in here, we didn't say they were selling the books. So it wasn't really about commerce. It was just about books in circulation and just having more books. And these are libraries, so it's not really focused on money. But it is true to a certain extent. So the German printers had better technological skills. Did they, though? What do you think about this one?
The rivalry... sorry.
So we said that one disadvantage of the German printers was that they didn't have some of the styles that the Italians liked. But did we say that one advantage of the German printers was that they were better than the Italian ones? Or they were technologically more advanced?
No.
We didn't really mention that. We could assume that, but we didn't really mention it. So for me, A has to be the correct answer. And if it's not, you better believe this video will get deleted. Now, let's see. Oh, it is the correct answer.
That's fine.
Of course, I would never do that. Actually, there are videos of me making mistakes. And I didn't delete them on purpose because I felt like a chicken. Now, let's see. Okay. This was the last mistake here, correct?
Yes, true.
I'm happy that the insert sentence was actually correct. Now, let's see.
I made all good answer with this type of question, and I made one more, three more.
Yeah, I remember you told me you had 3 mistakes in each one.
Yes, but I also made reading 75, and I made
Stop saying
55.
made.
No, sorry, 64.
Okay, we'll. I don't have a lesson until 3, so we can maybe cover 2 more. The Industrial Revolution, you'll cover this one. You had 3 mistakes.
Industrial Revolution is which number is this?
This one is still 49, passage 3. It's the set the 3 that you did together.
So 6 and 7 was the 6, 7, and 10.
Okay, we'll cover them. And also you mentioned some other numbers.
Some other numbers. 64.
Okay, let's see. 1 or 2?
1 and 2 I made.
I did. Stop saying it. So, Pterosaurus, I remember this one. Actually, this is one of the only times that I had this passage before this Chinese website added it to their website. And Ancient Mexico, I had this one before them as well. So these 2 passages, maybe they saw it on my website or somewhere else, but these were on my site before them. So let's see. This is actually number 6 or like 8 or 9 on my website. So let's see. Going with the Industrial Revolution, you said you had 2 mistakes.
49, okay.
3 mistakes.
6, 7, and 10.
So the author uses the word compact in the passage as an adjective in the passage to indicate that after the enclosure movement, agricultural parcels would be, so parcel, let's say boxes or packages, and agriculture meaning related to farming. And after a specific movement, the packages changed. How did they change? So first, let's see, where do we have compact? I don't see it. I'm just going, oh, we have it here. So much of the increased production was consumed by Great Britain's burgeoning population. At the same time, people were moving to the city, partly because of the movement. We don't care really about anything before that.
Yes.
That is the fencing of common fields and pastures in order to provide more compact, efficient, privately held agricultural parcels. Oh, we are not talking about packages. We are talking about land, pieces of land, basically.
Yes.
You know how we look at like farmland from above?
Yes.
Like,
I know. Hold on. Yes.
Like
I know
tiles.
Parcel, yes.
Held agricultural parcels.
The agriculture in my country is still the same like there in the Great Britain. So
it's the same in Turkey. It's the same everywhere in America as well. We just separate parcels with like a type of tree or maybe a bush or something usually. Or maybe rows, hedgerows. Now, let's see. Okay, so smaller. To indicate that the after parcels would be... Okay, so now let's be careful with this one. Obviously, compact means smaller. But now I'm suspicious because the test wouldn't probably make it that easy. The fencing of common fields and pastures in order to provide more compact, efficient, and privately held parcels. So the efficiency is mentioned separately. So I'm not going to go with productive because that is already mentioned. It doesn't have anything to do with convenience because we didn't say it made it easier or harder to, for example, travel to get into or get out of the other parcels. And numerous, no, we didn't mention the number. So it has to be smaller, which is just a vocabulary question. It's not really about why the writer used it.
I choose productive.
I see. But even if you think about the word compact, like a compact lens or a compact disc, it's always about like compact, just putting a lot of things.
I found out that this is A as a right answer. I just think, what is compact in my life? We have compact cars. So we have small cars. So why didn't I choose the smaller?
And also, compact cars are the exact opposite of productive most of the time. I'll get killed for that one. Maybe they are productive, but I'm in Georgia. We drive trucks here. So the only reason I didn't go with smaller is because it was too obvious. I was like, okay, compact means smaller. And if it was a vocabulary question, if it said the word compact in the passage is closest in meaning to, I would immediately go for smaller. But because it said the author uses the word to indicate, I thought maybe it's going to be something different. But no, it was just smaller. You said 7?
Yeah, 7.
Land enclosure. Okay, let's see what happened. Also, closure is URE to turn it into a noun and N to make it a verb, root being close. So let's see.
Much of increased population production was consumed by Great Britain's burgeoning population.
We have
At the
already
same
read it until here. Let's continue from here.
In the 16th century, enclosures were usually used for creating sheep pastures, but by the 18th century, new farming techniques made it advantageous for large landowners to seek enclosures in order to improve agricultural production.
Okay, wait. Also advantageous. It means beneficial.
Beneficial, yeah.
But you say it like you are saying advantages, like advantage as a noun, and then you are giving it s. But this one is beneficial or advantageous.
Advantageous. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Or advantageous.
All right.
No, I think it's advantageous. It should be an A. The British contribution to the English language is they confuse me every time I have to just know how to pronounce something, which is crazy to say because obviously the English language is by the English people. So, wait, I forgot. Okay, so something changed. The purpose of the enclosures changed. So in the past, or let's just say the usage or the purpose changed over time. It was used for sheep, but then they realized they can use it for something else to improve agricultural production. So, past, used for sheep. Later, used for
agricultural production.
Efficiency, let's say, for more efficiency. Okay. Between 1714 and 1820, over 6 million acres of English land were enclosed. As a result, this is important. As a result, many small independent farmers were forced to sell out simply because they couldn't compete. Okay, so this is an important thing that happened. What was it?
That some of them were not efficient.
Not just that. It forced small businesses and, like, for example, poor farmers to sell their land because
of lack of efficiency?
Probably, but also you can just say because they couldn't compete.
Okay.
Now, indirectly, of course, maybe it was the efficiency that they couldn't keep up with. Non-landholding peasants and cottage workers who worked for wages and grazed cows or pigs on the village common were also hurt when the common was no longer available. Okay, so also hurt the job market, let's say, and the normal people. So, okay, let's see.
Entered a period of steady decline after 1820. No.
Oh, not really. It actually became more common during that time. I'm not even going to check the time, but we know that it became more common, not less common to do that.
Yeah. It was a farming reform caused by industrialization.
Probably true.
It indicated a range of agricultural activities by the 18th century. I choose this one, I think. But this one was wrong.
Let's see. It was such people who did that would transform the nation and the world. Okay. Now, again, at this point, I should go back and read, but I don't want to because I know in the test, many students would not have the time to do that. So based on what I remember, I don't really remember what they used it for, but they just became more efficient pieces of land. I still think they were agricultural lands, so that's why I don't find a problem with this. But the option doesn't really make sense. It included a range of agricultural activities by the 18th. Now, by the 18th century, it means before the 18th century. Now, we are saying that between this and this, I mean, it is true, it seems like. I don't like this option. And it was primarily used to provide sheep pastures in the 16th century. That is probably true between this and this. And before that, by the 18th century, new farming techniques made it so that they would improve production. In the 16th century, So pay attention to the times when it says by, meaning before, and this one says in.
In
the 16th
correct.
century, they were used for sheep pastures. When it is true.
It's
So
true.
maybe D.
D.
Huh. So it was not caused by industrialization, or maybe that's not directly mentioned by the passage. Also, I didn't go with that one. I just said it's true because we could assume that it was industrialization, but we didn't really say that caused this. We just said it was the population going up that caused this. Now, indirectly, we could assume that it was the that led to this. So the population went up, and everything was becoming more industrialized, and then that led to the farming reform. Or maybe we could say that it wasn't a farming reform, it was just land that was used for farming now being used for industries or some factories, for example.
Yeah.
Now, again, if you pay attention, I'm not remembering anything from the passage. I just remember the idea of something changed and people were affected by it. And by not putting all of those details in your mind, you actually have more, like a clearer mind to think with. And that's why immediately after reading D, I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. What about 8? Or what was the next mistake?
What was the next mistake? The last one.
10?
Yes.
Okay, just give me 1 second.
I choose A, D, and F.
Mm-hmm. Don't tell me the correct ones.
Okay.
Let's see. Let me just check something. Okay. I just needed to check if I still have time, and I have time until 3. So, you said 10. Let's see. The Industrial Revolution was the result of far-reaching economic changes in Great Britain and Europe. Okay. So we are talking about the Industrial Revolution in Great Britain and Europe. And if we know that it was a result of the economic changes. So we can talk about economy, and we can talk about the revolution that happened. We don't really want to focus on one country or 2 countries. And we don't want one example. So I assume 1 or 2 options are probably going to do that. Let's go one by one. The expansion of international trade from the 16th century on greatly stabilized the European economy.
Good one.
Sounds like a good one. If it is true, I don't know if it's true, but if it's true, it's good. It's a good one. It's general. It matches the introductory sentence, and it's true. Canals in the 18th century played a more important role than did railroads in increasing internal trade. So it's just about internal trade, and it's just about Great Britain, and it's saying that one mode of transport was better than another mode of transport. It's not even about really the revolution. It's just in Britain, one type of transport was more popular or not. Even if it's true, we don't really care about it. What about C?
Okay. Intense consumer activity and sound government institution enabled mechanist labor to develop in Great Britain.
What do you think about this one? So there was lots of consumer activity, meaning lots of customers and clients. People wanted things. And there were some strong government institutions, like really solid government institutions, that allowed the mechanized labor, machines, to develop in Britain. Now, it doesn't mention Europe, but it's a good one. It's general about Britain.
Choosing between C and D.
Okay, let's read D as well. Until now, we have A as a strong contender.
Definitely yes. British entrepreneurs invented a new system of banking that led to the rapid economic growth.
Is it true, based on the passage?
Yes, it's true.
If it is true, it's not a bad option. So let's see. The Industrial Revolution was the result of economic changes. So the banking system is a good example of the economic change that happened. It's a new banking system. It's a very good option. It led to a rapid economic growth, which in turn resulted in the industrialization and more machines and more factories. I think A and D are very good options. For C, I'm not sure yet. What about E and F?
The thriving cottage industry was able to successfully compete with the factory system.
Thriving means it was actually doing well. It was improving. It was getting better. was able to successfully compete with the factory system. Even if it's true, even if the cottage industry and the factory system were
the same situation like
competing.
with the B, railroads and canals.
It's two different industries fighting with each other or being rivals. We don't really care. Even if it's true, again, I'm not going to go and check. An increasingly efficient agricultural industry freed British workers for factory employment. So because they could generate a lot of food, they could actually go and choose other types of jobs.
It's true.
So let's call that.
It was economic change because they changed from agriculture to the factory employment.
I was trying to see if I would call that an economic change or just a different kind of change. But okay, so I would go with A and D for sure. Then between C and F, some government is mechanized labor to develop in Great Britain. I like C more than I like F. So I would go with A, C, and D. What were your options?
A, D, and F.
So wait a second. So then the answer should be C. So because you had one mistake, and A and D are supposed to be correct 100%.
C was the good one.
A, C, and F. So it's not D. Huh. Are you sure it is true?
For me, C was better than D. So I don't trust Chinese.
No. The thing is, you told me that this was true. Now I haven't read the passage, and so the system maybe wasn't designed by the British. Great Britain's better developed banking and credit system also helped. As did the fact that it was the home of an impressive array of entrepreneurs and inventors. Okay, so see, that wasn't true. So it was a good banking system, and the banking system included lots of entrepreneurs and inventors. But it doesn't say that entrepreneurs invented the banking system. It just says the banking system included lots of entrepreneurs. So if it was true, it would be a good option, but it wasn't a true option.
Okay.
So A, 100% correct. Then C, consumer activity. That's also good. And it was, I think, two of my options. And then I had D, but it was F. An increasingly efficient. Yeah, that's also a good option. The only problem that I had with F was that I wouldn't consider the wait a second. It says an increasingly efficient agricultural industry freed British workers. Oh, my problem was that in here we mentioned economic changes, and in there it was more about just efficiency in the agricultural industries.
Okay.
But that kind of makes sense. That's also one of the reasons I don't really enjoy these type of questions, the question 10. It's because, first of all, most of the time I don't even read the passage during the lessons. But also, it could be interpreted in different ways. So one could make the case that this is not really talking about the economy. But at the same time, you could say it's talking about revolution, so it makes sense as well. Huh. What was your choice? What was your wrong choice? C?
C.
Hence, consumer activity and sound government institutions enabled mechanized labor to develop. I mean, that's also a very good option.
I choose
D.
wait,
C. I was actually one of the correct ones.
Yeah, C was correct. I choose D.
This is my sign that I should probably take a short break soon. Let's see. Let's do one more. Which one did you have more mistakes in? The Pterosaurus?
64, passage 2.
The Mayan ones?
I did 3 mistakes. And in the passage 1, I made only 1 mistake.
Okay, so let's go with passage 2. The Mexican, the ancient Mexico.
First question was I made it wrong. I did wrong.
Okay. Which of the following developments occurred in Mexico between 9,000 and 4,000 years ago? Seems to be very simple. We have the time stat. We have basically the time frame. We have the location between 9,000 and 4,000 years ago. Most of Mexico. Okay, so that's it. Most of Mexico was inhabited mainly by hunter-foragers, hunter-gatherers. Basically, these people who hunted for food, who lived in small bands that moved with the seasons. to exploit cactus fruits, deer hens, nuts, and the hundreds of other plants and animal species. Okay, to summarize, people who live there. I mean, I won't write it because it won't be longer than this one.
Okay, yes, sure.
The people who lived there were hunter-gatherers, and they had access to a lot of different fruits and animals. And they moved around, so they were nomadic people. They were nomads. They didn't stay in one place, and they moved with the changes of the seasons. Because these bands were small in size and never stayed in one place, again, we know that they didn't. You mentioned it. They moved with the seasons. For a sufficient period of time to have much long-term effects on the plant and animal populations on which they subsisted. So they depended on the animals and the plants. But because, now the sentence is continuing, it's a long sentence. Now, because they didn't stay in one place for a long time, you can already see where the sentence is going. Because they didn't stay for a long time, they didn't really have a big impact on the animals or the plants. So they never probably finished all the animals or fruits in one place. So that actually kept things going. It was a sustainable way of living, probably. So because they never stayed in one place, the hunter-gatherers' overall impact was low. Okay, yeah, the impact was low. Why? Because they kept moving around. A few groups along the margins of the lake in the Valley of Mexico may have been sedentary villages. Remember this word?
Yes, sediments.
Very nice. So it goes back to sediments, settlements, and sedentary. It means they stayed in one place. As opposed to what? As opposed to the other people who were traveling all the time. Not traveling, but moving all the time.
Yes.
As were some groups along the coast, and their role in the domestication of plants and animals and the eventual spread of agriculture is unclear. Okay, so we don't know really what they did. Some researchers suggest, however, that by about 4,000 years ago, maize crop size had become large enough that people over large areas of the Mexican highlands could subsist mainly on maize. So also another thing that happened during this time, corn became really big, and it allowed the people to just eat corn and stay alive. That means probably they didn't have to move around anymore. But we don't really have. That's probably going to come in next passages. So, which of the following developments occurred? What happened during this time? Well, the information.
One group was gathering, and
but we mentioned all the people and the way they live. But did we say they changed anything? We didn't really say they changed anything. So we said one group was doing this, the other group was...
The second one was sedimental.
Very nice. But we never said that they changed in any way. So I assume the answer is going to be about the corn. So sedentary villages gradually disappeared. No, we didn't say anything about...
Nothing about it.
One group disappearing. Actually, if anything, I think they increased, actually. A few groups, they were groups, and their role is unknown. Okay, so no, we didn't say if they increased or decreased. Agriculture spread steadily as more and more plants and animals were domesticated. We mentioned domestication, but we never said more and more animals were becoming domesticated. Again, we just said we don't know much about that area of science.
Yeah.
Hunter-foragers living on the coast moved to the highlands. Now, maybe because hunter-gatherers were moving all the time. But did we say specifically they moved from one place to the other? Not really, because they're moving all the time. Corn became the dominant food plant. That makes sense.
Good one.
What is your answer?
I choose B.
Agriculture spread steadily as more and more plants and animals were domesticated. And we don't know that. It says the role that they had on domestication of animals and plants.
It's true. I thought that I didn't recognize that there are two groups. I thought that it changed for that there were hunters, foragers, and they moved to sediments. So that was my mistake.
I see. And so it's very important for you to realize that from here to here, the writer was talking about one group.
There are two groups.
Then it says it separates them by saying a few groups along. Oh, I see. Now the writer doesn't really separate the groups. Based on meaning, you have to separate them. And if you don't pay attention to sedentary villagers and these people moving all the time, like these two, the contrast between moving all the time and sedentary is what tells us that there were two groups. If you don't pay attention to that, a few groups can be a few groups of the hunter-gatherers.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of students can actually make a mistake here. And what was the other mistake?
7.
Expandable. Expand. Actually, this is the similar to the contract.
It's true.
Thing.
Expand is opposite of the contract.
And okay, so expandable can become bigger. Able,
So
meaning can do or can be. Expand,
capable
meaning
of
bigger.
being enlarged.
Capable of being made bigger. And meaning make, and large meaning big, and large means make something larger. So it has to be A unless it's a confusing, like a trick question.
It's true.
It's just a bigger food supply. And what was the other one? Don't
8.
say 10. Okay, 8. I like it.
No, 10 was good.
And it's a good type of question. It's like a purpose question. So let's see. Which of the following does the author imply? So he is not saying it directly. If it is mentioned directly, you shouldn't choose it as one of the options. Is the most important scholarly controversy about Olmec society? Controversy means what?
It means that they have people have many views.
Very nice.
Of the same situation.
A topic that turns, meaning verse, people against, meaning contra, each other. So a topic that forces people into two groups or makes them be against each other is a controversial topic. And so there are many scientists or professors or whatever.
Yeah.
And they have different opinions about the Olmec society. But the most important one. So there are many topics maybe that they disagree on. One has to be the most important. And I can promise you some of the options are probably true, but they are not the most important one. So let's see. These people are known to us as the Olmec, a name derived from an ancient we don't care. The names of some scholars. I skipped that one. We don't really care about the root of the word. Some scholars have considered the possibility that the Olmec culture was the mother culture of all later complex societies. So I guess this is probably going to be the one. So some, group A, let's call them, this culture is
mother culture.
The mother of all advanced cultures. Okay. Let's see. In this area. Now, I'm not sure if the area is going to be important, so I didn't write it yet.
Okay.
That the Olmec were directly responsible for transforming their neighbors by military, political, religious, or economic means-based methods, or in these areas, into complex societies. Other scholars, now we have group B. So this tells us the controversy. Other scholars, however, have argued convincingly, so this group also has a good argument, that the Olmec represent only one of several largely independent cases of the evolution. Okay, so now we see what the problem is. A says this culture is the mother of all cultures. B says there were some other really complex societies beside this one. Okay, so they disagree about this culture being the mother of all cultures, or different cultures developing at the same time and becoming complex at the same time, or independent of each other, maybe even different times, different locations. Let's see. What name they use? No. Immediately just put it as a no. What about B, C, D?
How to Olmec manage to remain independent? No. Whether or not all complex Mexican societies were derived from the Olmec.
Derived from, it means they all came from the Olmec society, meaning the Olmec was the mother of all of them. So they cannot agree if the Olmec culture was the mother of all cultures or not. What do you think about this option?
This one was good, but I choose the D.
It's not good. It is the issue that we have. One group says this culture is the mother of all other cultures, or at least the Mexican cultures. I'm not separating that. We don't really need to care too much about it. One group says this is the mother of all other cultures. B says no. Actually, there were many other cultures that were also advanced, independent of this one. So that is exactly what they disagree on. And you chose D. Let's see, D says what? Whether the Olmec used religion or military power to transform their neighbors. So that means for that one, for the one that you chose, it means A says this nation used A, B, and C to transform their neighbors.
Yeah.
What does B say?
There were different nations. Okay. I got it.
Basically, they agree maybe that this nation transformed others, but they don't agree on what they used to transform the others. And also, let me just make sure that was the case. Whether the Olmec used religion or military power to transform their neighbors. Or it's also possible to say they did, B says they didn't. But do what the military transform. They did transform their neighbors. Maybe the issue is not how they did it, it's just whether they did it or not. And B says they didn't transform their neighbors. Okay, now with that being said, I'm quite happy with the way things are going. So most of the mistakes were imply and purpose questions, which with some work can become better. Almost no mistake in the factual information questions, except one, I guess, if I remember correctly. And the vocabulary ones, interestingly enough, both of them were regarding just becoming smaller or becoming bigger. And they were just exact antonyms of each other. So, also, things are getting darker and darker if we continue this way. Don't worry about it. I'm going to take a short break. Thank you for today. And I will see you soon. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a good time.